Hello and welcome to Social Buzz. My name is Kim Sibanda, and we are here with the ladies of the moment. Hi, ladies.
Hey.
Definitely, we are here to talk about all things that are trending, all things that are fun, fantastic, and so much more. And we've got lots and lots of opinion. But in the studio today, we've got our guest who is Dr. Macheruka Munutu, and she is here looking lovely as ever. How you doing, Doc?
I'm well. Thank you so much for the invitation, Kim, to be on your show.
Thank you so much for coming through. So today we're going to be talking about body enhancement products. And I do know ladies with a lot of opinion, and they've got a level head as well. And we're going to be here today together to just discuss all this. I've got Rugare. How you doing, Rugare?
Hey girl, I'm great, thanks, Kim.
And I've also got Miss Nicole, the queen. Yes, she is here. And definitely we're going to be talking about all sorts of things. So let's just get right into it. We want to get into the everyday person. What are the things we're hearing about, what's happening in terms of body enhancement? Let's discuss that and just find out what's really happening, Doc. How often are people coming to talk about body enhancements?
Yes, thank you so much, Kim. That's such a great question. To be honest with you, I think people are coming a lot. I think in this modern era where people have options to choose what they look like, choose what they're wearing, I think the next step has been body modification. But if we look out through the centuries, people have used tattooing, people have used body art, piercings. And so I think as modern medicine has progressed, yes, people are asking for procedures to reshape themselves, to attain goals in terms of what they want to look like. And I think there is some validity to that, but I think I want to really focus on the safety issues around that.
I was about to say, is it safe? What do you think, Ricardo? Oh my goodness, is it safe?
I think if it's done by a professional, obviously it's safe. But then, unfortunately, not everybody can afford the professional. And you find some people who then try to cut corners. They hear about a good doctor. Because you always have someone who plug you and tell you, no, but I've got a plug. I know a good doctor who can do it for half the price or quarter the price. And then you end up paying the price for that. And there's some people who end up telling you that, no, you read online that maybe someone ended up being injected with cement or thinners or some paint fillers or something. Like it's crazy. You do really need to do your research.
And I know somebody who's always ever so confident with yourself, and that's Nicole. Nicole, have you ever felt the need to change yourself for any reason?
Well, for starters, I've never been always confident.
Okay.
I've gone through my fair share of body shaming, just being slim and not having a fuller body like most African women. So I think, just growing up and realizing that I'm beautiful in my own way, which a lot of girls, unfortunately, don't have that for themselves. But I think I would throw this to Doc. Is this something that most of your clients would say that probably it was some sort of bullying or wanting to fit into a social standard, probably online? You know how Instagram is, everyone wants to be Instagrammable. So.
Yes, no, I think that's a completely valid observation. So I do think that a lot of self-esteem issues and body image issues stem from our social environment. So everybody is on the social media, and I think it has been shown in the literature that people, Instagram is in particular for girls and young women. Instagram has a very powerful effect because I think we are in an era of comparisons. You're always comparing yourself with the next person. And so sometimes that can have a true impact on people's self-esteem and sort of influence on how they want to appear to the world and how they want to look. But I do encourage my patients that, what you said, you're beautiful in your own ways, and God made each of us so differently and so individual that you really cannot be comparing yourself to someone you have no genetic relationship to. So you cannot always achieve those goals because that's not your ethnic background or whatever.
Speaking of ethnic, here's something that I thought. Like how there's black, white, Indian, Chinese. It's funny how white people are always trying to make their lips fuller, hair more natural, tanning themselves to look darker. And us in this whole world are like looking at how we can get a fuller figure, get lighter, thinner hair. I mean, we're guilty. Hello. Trying to get our nails done and all that. But also, do you think, Kuti, our counterparts, the male counterparts, are largely to do with everything? Because I feel like when we go onto social media, like what you're saying, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be, it's the males that are talking about what you don't have. What do you
Really?
think?
Is that really? I don't think it's males. I think it's women
think so?
shaming each other.
Yeah.
Yes, so
It's
we shame
women
each
putting
other.
this pressure on themselves and to each other saying, oh, I think men like this. I think also one of the reasons why I ended up being confident in myself is because all the men around me were telling me we don't want a fuller bottom. You're okay like that. But you grow up being told that your looks are meant to please a man.
Yes.
You're
That's so
never
true.
told what the men actually want for themselves. So there's already some misconstruing of standards and information somehow.
I wonder if the guys are told like girls want a more masculine man and bigger
Usually
belly.
with the guys, they never have those conversations. You know how we are trained as women to cater to a man. So we're taught to cater to what a man wants aesthetically. And then you've also got, like Doc stated, there's social media. You've got your magazines. I mean, yes, now we have social media. But back in the 90s and early 2000s, there were the magazines. Remember the magazines would tell
Ooh,
you,
girl.
oh no, you're supposed to...
Baywatch.
Right?
Yes, there was a standard. So it's always us, the women, being told we are supposed to look a certain way, but the men, they're being left behind. Like, they can have a belly for days.
As in
Like,
the money belly.
yes, a money belly.
I
But
cannot keep up. I can't keep up because
It's beginning to change, though. I will say,
Yeah.
some of my best cosmetic patients happen to be men.
really, what are some of
they
the
want the
procedures?
Well, I think they do come in wanting to look fresher, younger, wanting
Kudos
to
to
grow.
Finally, kudos. You know, because it's getting fair out there. But you know what? Also trends, Doc. Before we used to be told to look slimmer. Like Nicole, 10 years ago was a catch in terms
Yes.
of, you know. But now you've got Beyonce, and that's the catch. And then now the people are getting thicker and thicker and thicker. What's going on, Doc? Because I can't keep up. You can't be slimming and then back again.
Absolutely, Kim. You know, I think, you know, the world is just always going to be full of trends.
Yes.
And I think you have to say to yourself, am I going to be part of these worldly trends, or am I going to follow my own path? I honestly think that beautification, it's so up to the individual. I always tell people that as long as you know what the consequences are that might be behind any beauty treatment you're trying to achieve.
Yes.
So whether it's straightening your hair with a perm, your scalp could get burnt.
Yes.
Whether it's getting fillers put in your face, is that person a professional? Because one of the side effects of filler can be blindness. Yes.
You're kidding.
Yes. And do I need a larger bottom? Because one of the side effects of getting a Brazilian butt lift can be what we call a pulmonary embolism, where a blood clot can move and kill you. So you're
Yeah.
there looking beautiful and you keel over and die and nobody understands what happened to you. But that could have been from a procedure. So as long as people sort of understand when they go in to do these procedures, what is the safety around this procedure? Is the person doing my procedure an experienced person doing these procedures? Have I traveled out of the country and then have to travel back to Zimbabwe? Will I have follow-up when I get to Zim for this procedure that I've had done? So I think a lot of my messaging is around safety. You know, people have choice in this world. It's a free will. You have a free will. If
Yes.
you want tattoos, go for it. If you want body modification, sure, within reason, I think you can go for it. It's just that you have to be safe.
Definitely, we have to be safe. And we're going to go look at what's beyond just the look and the consequences behind body enhancement. We'll be back right after this. Hello and welcome back to the Social Buzz, and we're still talking about body enhancement and all that jazz. And right now we're going to be talking about going beyond the look and the consequences of body, well, enhancing anything really on your body. And Doc, I'm going to throw this one back at you. What are the consequences? I know we ended the last segment with it, but we're going to do it anyway, and I really want us to be serious. Like, yes, of course, I know, you know, there's money in it for somebody, but what really should people be looking out or looking for before they start?
I think first of all, you need to be seeing a credentialed person. So someone who has the credentials to be doing the procedures that they're doing. So first of all, we can talk about basic things. People get older, they don't want wrinkles. I do Botox injections. I can make the face look youthful. I can make it more wrinkle-free. That is a low-risk procedure, in my opinion, especially because I do it frequently and it's something I'm trained to do.
Okay.
I also do these dermal fillers. We can plump up your skin. We can make your skin more beautiful and more youthful using fillers. But again, we're trained. There's certain areas you don't inject because you could end up with a blind client. So these are the things that people need to understand. There are consequences to procedures. All surgery is invasive. When someone cuts into you, you're opening up to the risk of infection, you're opening up to the risk of complications, bleeding, all kinds of things can happen. So definitely you need to understand the credentials of the person who's working with you and what happens if something doesn't go well.
I want to be honest. I've used a cream. I remember when cream started coming out, it had an orange lid. No one knew what it was. But I tried.
It's a safe space, no judgment.
No judgment.
It had an orange lid, and I was like, I was so insecure. Like people body shame me all the time, and like I've got like an English body, and then I was really like I'm dark now, but now China, it's a better darkness. I had a dark, and I was always in the sun. I was really dark, and I remember I was like, I don't want to be dark anymore, and then I started using it, and I remember I went orange in the face, and my mom looked at me. She's like, I hope you know what you're doing. I was just gonna make us. So yeah, have you guys haven't used anything? Confession time.
I haven't used anything, but when it comes to, I suffer from body dysmorphia.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
Because growing up, I was of a fuller figure. In the mind of someone else, I was bullied because I filled out quicker than my fellow students.
Okay.
And so I was bullied. And so now...
You were bullied because you were what everyone wants now.
Can you imagine? Fuller figure, fuller behind, fuller everything, right? And so to combat that, I started taking diet pills. From the age of 14. Can you imagine? Because I wanted to make sure that I fit into what everyone else was saying. That's the standard. And then the magazines, you know them, the glossy ones, they were also telling me, hey, you got to look like this, you got to look like that. And I started taking the diet pills. I was very active. I also feel like teachers as well have a part to play in it. Because again, because I was fuller and I ran track. The teachers would say, how do you run track when you're full like that? Right? And so those words were always ringing in my head. And now the diet pills were not working. And so I decided to start throwing up. I became bulimic. I also became anorexic. And it took such a while. Like my weight was always yo-yoing. It took my mom noticing this one time. I think I was 19 at the time. I was stick thin. I was losing kilos every week. And my clothes were changing weekly. So now, yes, I'm okay. I've gone for therapy. But sometimes when I look in the mirror, what I see and what you see are two different things. And that's something that people don't actually get to talk about because body dysmorphia is actually really prevalent out there. There are a lot of women, like for instance, you're saying, you talked about your complexion.
Complexion is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Someone else, maybe I'm looking at you and I'm like, Kim though.
My mentor once said, if you go to Ghana,
Yes.
what? As soon as you get to the airport, you get a husband. I was like, when am I going? Where's my passport? I need to be gone.
You're like chocolate caramel. Ooh-wee. But in your eyes,
I'm like, I'm the darkest thing ever. Because I always had light friends. So it would be so obvious. This is how dark she is. But I think it also helped me gain confidence because even when like would go out and some guy would be like, oh, I love you completely. I'm like, me, you know? So eventually you own it.
yeah, you end up owning it.
Nicole, you've never got, you've had yours.
I think I relate with Rugari a lot more. And for me, it's actually quite recent. I think last week, actually, I was so surprised that I'm an actual size 6 because in my head, I'm like a size 30.
Go figure.
Yeah.
So
I posted that on my Instagram and people are like, what do you mean?
Because we're like 30
so in my
pounds, so
head,
yeah.
I'm this really big person when I'm not.
Yeah.
So not that I'm insecure about how I look, but it's just how my mind sometimes works. Is because especially when your weight is constantly fluctuating, you're gaining, you're losing, you kind of also lose track of what you actually are at a specific point in time. So yeah.
So, because
Confessions. We all got something.
what is also like as women, trust that whoever concocted whatever,
Yeah.
whoever is doing,
Yeah.
and like, I don't know, are we that insecure as women? Because are men not doing the same?
Well,
Like, what's going on, Doc?
I think, people don't realize, this is all a lot of mental health, and it's
Yes,
talking to our
yeah.
kids.
Mental.
And I think this has to start in the teenage years. If you notice, I wish someone had noticed you at age 14 that you were struggling with this and talk to you about it, that, especially during puberty, when your body is going to go through so much change. It's such a tough time to sort of question how you look and question all these things. And so, can I say men are doing it? I think there's now social media pressure on young
true.
boys as well to look a certain way. I know for sure, I've had conversations with my own son about, you want to take creatinine. I don't think it's good for you. You're too young.
Yeah.
You need to do, people are bodybuilding, taking anabolic steroids. It alters your hormone profile.
Yes.
It alters, even though it alters your physical appearance, it's altering a lot on the inside, which may not necessarily be good for you in the long term. So yes, I think the pressures are coming from everywhere. But of course, because women have always been associated with beauty, and beauty is valued in societies, in all societies. I don't think even, body modification has anything that is just unique to Africans, that we're the ones who want to look like other people. In Asia, if you walk around Asia, there's also a whole caste system in places like
Yes,
India that are
yes.
based on complexion.
Yeah.
Even in us, the Far East, the lighter skinned you are, sometimes that's what's desirable.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about, as we have these conversations, let us pass this on to our children. The next generation can do better.
Yes.
I think a lot of us are recovering. I mean, don't worry, guys. Turn 40, turn 40 and none of this matters.
It doesn't matter.
Like it's
You really will, sort of come into yourself
Okay.
in a way that you haven't experienced before. But I think as younger women, even if you look at celebrities
Yeah.
who've talked about how they've had insecurities, we look at them in the glossy magazines and online,
Yeah.
and we think, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. But even people like Halle Berry, I was like, when I turned 40 or when I turned 50, a switch
like
went
you
on.
said.
I was like,
Yeah.
I am it. I am who I am. But I had so many insecurities when I was younger. So I think we just need to work on our young folk, really work on their mental health around issues of appearance.
With all the risks that are associated with enhancing our bodies and modifying ourselves, is there more that can be done where we really educate the common person? Because it's not like you say, be confident, and it's like, ta-da, it happens. What things can we put in the schools? What can we do better to make sure that, you can talk to your child all they want, but if they don't, because there's that thing, my mom would always say, you're so beautiful, you've got
Yeah.
an English body. And I'm like, this woman, does she even know in Chichi?
Yeah.
So I feel like schools are a big part to play, more than home can tell you, because Mama, my son will say, Mama, you're supposed to tell me I'm handsome. You're supposed to say that.
Yeah.
But teachers aren't supposed to say that, can they? Anyone
Well, I
can say
think
that.
certainly having maybe a mental health curriculum or something around where we can deal with self-esteem issues.
Okay.
I think that would really be a positive for young people in the schools.
All right, so we are done with our second segment. We'll be back for the third and final segment. We will talk about redefining beauty as we know it. Our views, your views. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Social Buzz, where we are looking at body enhancement. And this last segment, we just want to talk about redefining what beauty is. I like the fact that models, right? Have you seen supermodels these days?
Yeah.
It's the bigger eyes you have. You're, oh my gosh, they're going to love you. The bigger lips you have. Ooh, they're going to love you. In fact, the more awkward you look, you're becoming better.
The more acceptable.
Is that where
Yeah.
we're going now? Because I'm ready for my time.
Your time to shine.
I'm ready for my time.
No, I think beauty beauty definitely is being redefined in a positive way. I can say from a dermatological perspective, there's a beautiful model called Winnie Harlow. I
Yes,
think.
exactly.
And she
Right.
has
Yeah.
a condition called vitiligo.
Yes.
Which Michael Jackson also suffered from.
Yes.
And as rich as he was, as powerful as he was,
So
he
insecure,
chose to
yeah.
hide his.
Yeah.
And so when we live in this modern era where Winnie can be herself and show off her skin, I think that's beautiful. And I think that's what we need to point our children to. That look at this person. She does not have your classic beauty, but she's finding beauty in herself. So look in the mirror and do your daily affirmation. Tell yourself you're beautiful, because it's by telling yourself these things that you'll eventually believe it.
Wonderful.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So Doc literally went down the line that I was going. So yes, there are models like Winnie Harlow. There are also models that have alopecia, and that's the condition where you lose your hair. You have no eyebrows, no eyelashes, no hair whatsoever. Walk in your authenticity. I found that what I've started to do is at my age, I look in the mirror every morning and I talk to myself, because your beauty starts from within. It can only glow from the outside once your inside is glowing. So I speak positive words to myself. So learn to speak kindly to yourself. Whenever you hear a negative word or a negative phrase in your mind, simply shut it down quickly. You're beautiful, you're amazing.
Right. Yeah. And in my case, I would say you're only as young as you feel, because I feel like a lot of these pressures come as you age. There's one lady that inspires me a lot. She's a vintage gogo, I think. She's from Zambia.
yes.
So yeah, tap into your age and like embrace it. You're beautiful no matter how old. Yeah.
All right. So relatable, thought-provoking, and empowering is the conversation that we have here on Social Buzz. My name is Kim Sabanda. Until next time, it's bye-bye for now.